Okay, so how many of you kind of already know me out there? Alrighty, yeah, we got some newspaper readers. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ty Russian. I'm the managing editor for the Northwest Iowa Review and the Sheldon BLM newspapers, right here in town. I'm also the first black person to hold either one of those positions, and I was also the first black person to hold a staff writer position at the company. And it's literally been the same way at every newspaper I've been at. So that's why I call myself the Jackie Robinson of Iowa newspapers. So I also spoke at the Spencer event, and I did a different speech this time around. That one kind of went viral. I did a little media tour after that. I've been on multiple TV stations, a bunch of radio programs, a couple of podcasts. So that was kind of weird being on the other news. Yeah. So all right, here we go. So it shouldn't be controversial or provocative to say Black Lives Matter, but somehow that simple phrase that's ushered up as a reassurance of humanity for people of a different hue in the face of injustice can spark harsh reactions from a lot of white people who don't want to hear it. The phrase Black Lives Matter isn't saying that white people, brown people, or even green people don't matter. It's saying that Black Lives matter too. Something those of us in the black community feel like gets forgotten by our fellow citizens of the world. We live in an area where your views on the sanctity of life can either get you elevated to public office or dismissed out of the gate, but I see so many folks around here become viscerally angry over seeing or reading the phrase Black Lives Matter without trying to understand how or why it came into existence. It was started in 2013 after the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's killer, George Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch volunteer who decided a 17-year-old black male carrying an iced tea and holding a bag of Skittles was a threat and gunned him down. Since then, it's become the go-to phrase, as well as a questionable international human rights organization, used whenever we talk about the premature death of a black person, typically by law enforcement related, but not always. Whether they were in custody like Sandra Bland, killed in her own home like Breonna Taylor, or in the middle of the street like George Floyd, whose execution in Minneapolis in late May has sparked a national outcry and this latest reopening of the race and racism conversation, which many polite people like to avoid, but it's one we must have if we want to see change. If hearing someone say Black Lives Matter offends you, ask yourself why it does, and then ask yourself, why do you think a person feels the need to so directly explain it? You see, racism isn't just something in the big cities or deep south, it's embedded into the fabric of our country, whether we like to admit it or not. If you don't believe me, here's a little homework for you. Look up the origins of Uncle Ben's rice and Aunt Jemima pancakes. That's a small taste, pun intended. And you can thank me later for ruining two of your favorite pantry staples. 10 days ago, I spoke at a protest in Spencer where I shared instances of being passed over for jobs because of a hairstyle, being called a nigger in various situations, including by a reader of a paper I was working at, and having a sitting public official complain to my bosses because I dared to wear a stocking hat indoors in the middle of Northwest Iowa. However, it was my recapping of an incident when I was 21 years old in which I was handcuffed and sat on the sidewalk and 3 police officers and a narcotics dog tore apart my car searching for the drugs I was supposedly selling while driving a 1998 purple Plymouth Breeze that seemed to stick out the most to a lot of people. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm way too bad at math to be good at selling drugs. My customers would truly take advantage of me, and Schoolhouse's Rock's lessons on the metric system did not stick with me either. Which, if you're gonna sell drugs, you also need to know the metric system. I don't. Now, that incident is one of many close calls I've experienced with law enforcement that make me paralyzed with fear whenever I get pulled over. And again, I want to reiterate that I'm not saying I've never deserved to be pulled over or that every stop that's ever happened to me has been unjust, because that would be an absolute lie. However, I can say I don't know anyone else who has been ticketed for having their license plate sticker in the wrong place. P.S. Here in Iowa, they go in the top left-hand corner and only the top left-hand corner unless you have an extra $87. Talking about race, racial profile, and police brutality openly and loudly is a good thing, and it helps move us in a better direction so that we can work together towards solutions to what's been a systemic issue in our country. I love America, and because I love America, I want it to be a perfect place for everyone here, no matter what their skin tone is. Liberty, justice, and equality have been part of the ethos of America since its inception, so why are we still fighting for it 244 years later?